This season was very big. There was a lot of very key moments from the Thousand Year Blood War that happened in this season of Bleach. I would say that the second half of this core, of core 2 of this season, essentially, of the Bleach Thousand Year Blood War, was far superior to the first half of the Thousand Year Blood War. Not that it was necessarily bad, but I said it before and I'll say it again. The Komamura fight, Komamura versus Bombietta, I felt like it rushed through it, and I don't know if it was because of a popularity thing. At the end of the day, Komamura is not the most popular character, although in my opinion Bombietta was one of the most popular Stern Ritter, especially back in the day. People loved talking about Bombietta, but I felt like they purposefully rushed through that fight. That for me was one of, and it still is, as far as the Bleach manga goes, Komamura versus Bombietta is one of my all-time favorite fights in all of the Bleach manga. So you could say that I'm being a little fanboyism, whatever the case may be. Ultimately, I know that I was wanting that to be an 11 out of 10. Like, I wanted that to be everything and then some. Like, I would have been fine with them extending parts of the Komamura versus Bombietta fight, because I loved that so much in the manga. It was so freaking good. And the fact that it felt like they sped through it kind of was disappointing to me. I was disappointed in that factor. Not that it was bad, but it just like, oh, I want, because the art looked really good, especially when Komamura went into his human form for a minute. Like, it looked really, really dope. I was just like, man, bro, I want it, you know what I'm saying? So that's where I felt with that. A lot of the first half of the season as well was Ichigo still training, getting ready to head back to the Serete, which it kind of got a little confusing, and I think that this is personally in the manga where Kubo probably thought that he was going to be physically capable of doing a lot more than he ultimately could have, because remember, in case you don't know, Tite Kubo had to rush towards the end of the Bleach manga because his health, like he was dealing with a lot of health issues as well. I covered it in an old video. If you look it up, it's like I think it got like 1 million or 1.5 million views on it, me talking about the truth of why he had to end Bleach the way he did. But ultimately, he had to rush through things, and I feel like a part of that is truly reflected on Ichigo's travels from the Soul Society, or from the Soul Palace to the Serete, and then having to go right back. It kind of felt a little bit off, because like it was this big, the preparation, like, oh snap, Ichigo's on his way back. It almost felt too like Goku on Snake Way, when he had to make it in time to for the Saiyan's arrival and whatnot. And Ichigo's speeding through, and then he kind of gets there. He fights with those Melody and all those cats and whatnot, kind of gives them a little bit of the beats, and then because Bach whisks away to the Soul Palace and whatnot, he kind of has to go right back. And it kind of felt a little bit like, yo, he just got here. He literally just got here. We're talking about all these plans of how can he get back and all that. Like, he just got here. And again, I think that was, it's nothing that at the end of the day, Kubo had health issues. Bottom line, point blank, period. There's nothing you can say other than, damn, man, it's a shame that happened. But you can't necessarily go in and say like, yo, you should have done 50 more chapters so the pacing of Ichigo could have felt better, him arriving from the Soul Palace and whatnot. So I'm not gonna go in that light, but I will say that it did feel a little bit strange of like, yo, he just got here and he already has to go back. You know what I'm saying? So there was that. Uryu's betrayal. It's okay. I ain't gonna lie. Part of me, I'd be looking at it like, especially towards the end, I'm like, does Uryu really have any business? And I get it that he got more Bach's powers or whatnot, because he was on his knees with Bach, pause. But I felt like Uryu really had no business there with the Squad Zero. So I guess those are just some gripes or whatnot that I wanted to throw out from the beginning, because after a certain point, it just was up and away. Like, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Rukia's Bankai, up until that point, that was one of my favorite moments of the Bleach Thousand Year Blood War anime. It probably still is, really. Like, I'd have to think for a second, but it gotta be at least top 3 for me. Like, Rukia, Bankai versus Asnod, avenging her brother, kind of finally showcasing her having a Bankai, the design looking so cool, reminded me of Shorty from, was it her Bankai? I forget what it was, but Shorty from movie 2, and I think that was actually her Bankai itself. I might be mistaken, it's been a little minute, but reminded me of, the Shorty from movie 2. Like, the Bankai looked great, the art and animation was dope, everything about it. Like, I started noticing, like, oh, they upping the animation. Like, this is a very, Rukia is one of the most popular characters in Bleach, so they understood the assignment of, we can't play around around right now. We got to make sure Rukia's Bankai is A1 to the day ones, you dig? And they delivered, very much so. And as a Rukia fan, from whether it be back in the day, if you watch my videos back when I was living in my old place where I had the big Rukia poster and whatnot, you would know that as a Rukia fan, I was extremely happy to see my girl finally achieve Bankai, helping out Byakuya, even though in the end it kind of felt like Byakuya could have kind of maybe taken Asnod after his return from the Soul Palace. But either way, I was like, let's go, Studio Piro. You understood the assignment that you couldn't play with that one. So that was hype. Kenpachi versus Gremmy. Now, in the manga, I remember, including myself, a lot of people didn't really care for it simply because we didn't care for Gremmy. And the main reason why a lot of people didn't care for Gremmy in the manga was the fact that it just felt like, yo, you have literally the greatest ability in all of Bleach. Like, I think it's safe to say that that is the most hacks ability in Bleach, period. Anything you think of becomes reality. It's literally instant manifestation. That's Gremmy's ability. And I remember the manga, again, including me, I'm going to just keep it real. During the Gremmy battle, a lot of people were like, but how do you lose? Like, we get it. It's Zaraki Kenpachi, baby. But how do you lose when you have the most hacks ability? I feel like the way the anime approached it, they made it so freaking epic and really put the focus in on Zaraki so much. And Kenpachi, just everything of what his character entails up until this point. Him going into his advanced Shikai. That was like his true Shikai form, right? That wasn't Bankai. I think that was like his true Shikai, like that giant butcher blade or whatnot. And he kicked Gremmy's behind. And I hope I'm not misremembering. I'm pretty sure he had the big butcher knife. I'm not trying to spoil anybody. But yeah. And, Gremmy at the end of the day took the L. But the way the anime approached it, it didn't really feel like, I don't know. In the manga, a lot of us felt like it was nonsensical. And in the anime, while, yeah, still it's like, damn, dog, you literally have like a god ability. Like, nobody could beat you with this ability. But they emphasized so strongly on the reason why he lost was not because he was necessarily incompetent, but is that Zaraki Kenpachi is just so badass that he literally scared this kid to death. Because we also got to keep in mind that the Stern Ritter were people in their previous lives that, I think, what was it? Was it Asnod that was like in a hospital? And I forget, was Gremmy also a little kid that was sick or something? But either way, their previous lives, they weren't like the most toughest or biggest or baddest of them all or whatnot. So they're still carrying over as like those type of people. But the Zaraki versus Gremmy battle, the outcome still makes you think like a little salty of like, damn, Gremmy, that how many people with that ability would have waxed the living lights out of Zaraki. But ultimately, I feel like they did their best to make it just like, yo, it's just because Zaraki's that dude. Like, he lost because Zaraki's him. That's pretty much it. And I rocked with it. I ain't gonna lie. I rocked with it heavy. I wasn't mad at it at all. I thought it was dope. Art and animation looked good. It even gave a little bit of emotion with the whole thing with Yachiru, of her, like, disappearing and him saying, yo, find her, whatnot. Especially considering that last speech that Gremmy said, like, I think he said something like, you taking the L as well, or you lost in the end, something along the lines of that. You could see the worry on Zaraki's face, and great fight. Awesome stuff. Renji versus Master Masculine. It was cool. I didn't really care for it in the manga or like that because Master Masculine was a little bit silly. But I was enjoying watching just Renji throw down. As somebody that I used to be a Renji fan. Like, I used to be a big Renji fan back in the day. I was just happy to see Renji throwing down. I was like, okay, let's go. So I really wasn't mad at it. The superstar stuff, Mayuri Kurotsuchi. I don't know what happened to me over the years, but I've become like a super fan for Mayuri. So when Mayuri shows up and he's in like this golden sun uniform and he just has everything figured out pretty much, and he's on like some boss stuff, I'm like, yo, this is crazy. Like, granted, he's still selfish. Like, even though, the Serite has fallen and whatnot, he's still being selfish and like worrying about his science project, so to speak, with this whole zombie situation, fighting what's homie's name, the one with that turned Bombietta into a zombie. And I was kind of like, bro, it was so hard to see Bombietta like go from Bombietta Buster Bind, the god tier, like, yo, don't play with me, to begging, I think it's Giselle, begging Giselle like, please, it was just like, what the hell happened here, bro? What happened here? But Mayuri was just like pretty freaking dope. Like I ain't gonna lie, I was hype as hell when Mayuri showed up. Seeing a lot of his calculations, seeing him throwing down a little bit. The Kensei and them zombie stuff, I was like, all right, it's cool. Again, there's like, in the Thousand Year Blood War, there was so much that happened that some of it was really, really hype. Some of it was okay. Some of it was a little bit of misses or whatnot. But I feel like in almost every instance, minus maybe the Komamura stuff, I would say that, it felt like the anime really was superseding above and beyond with a lot of the stuff from the manga. I'll be honest with you, a lot of it. And then this grandiose finale, bro. We gotta talk about the finale episodes. What would it be? 24 through 26, I think, right? Like, well, there was last week and then there was the 2 episodes this week. Let's start off with last week. The fact that we're starting to see, which I think there's already been cases of it, but last week especially was a big eye-opening view into Kubo adding in ideas that he felt should have been in there to begin with the manga, basically extending certain scenes or adding things that weren't in the manga, like that scene of Ichibei from Squad Zero from the past sitting with Yuhabaha with Juha Bach, and sitting down, and pretty much when Bach was trying to get, you know, a little lippy with him and him shutting him all the way down. I was like, oh my god, between the art and animation, direction, all of that, just fantastic choreography and everything. But I will say between that and this 2-part finale of this core with Squad Zero versus the Royal Guards and Bach, bro, they improved, like, bar none. The anime of all of that just dumps on the manga, and the manga wasn't necessarily bad, but one of the biggest things that the anime did that I'm going to be, as a fan of this stuff, forever grateful, is that they redeemed Squad Zero in so many ways. Because in the manga, Squad Zero, I ain't gonna lie, a lot of people left saying like, yo, they kind of look a little fraudulent, bro. What happened here? But the anime has just made them, they feel like monsters, homie. Every ounce of these guys just feel like straight up beasts. From Ichibei to Nimaya Uetsu. I don't remember all the names, but I remember their names. Squad Zero was just fantastic, dog. And I love it from, you know, Bach escaping the tree and fighting Ichibei one-on-one. And all of Squad Zero, like, it feels like it's a little bit of a back and forth, but for the most part, Squad Zero looks like they're really living up to the name of Squad Zero, despite the fact that Bach, you know, basically sacrificed a good chunk of the other Stern Ritter to power everyone up, despite the fact that they've been, you know, using tricks and everything they possibly can to defeat Squad Zero, to get to the Soul King and whatnot. Squad Zero has just been putting in work, bro. My favorites are bar none. I like Shorty with the arms. I forget what's her name. Is it Mecha? I was gonna say Mekamaru. This ain't Jujutsu Kaisen, but Shorty with the arms is cool. But Ichibei and Nimaya Uetsu are my guys, bro. And then Shorty with the arms in 3rd place. Like, she's just freaking dope as well. And just every ounce of the action, the animation, the art, bro. I was just like, this was the Squad Zero that the Bleach series promised us many moons ago. When Squad Zero was first mentioned, and we were like, yo, if they're above the, you know, the 13 courts guards and whatnot, they gotta be just elite. You know what I'm saying? They gotta be like basically a group of, whatchamacallit, Mecharachnid, I'm done with you. They gotta be like basically a bunch of Yamamotos. Like, that was when I first heard about these guys. I was like, okay, so if they're like just these gods here, it's just like a bunch of Yamamotos. And that's why I still feel a little sus about Uryu being in the fray with the Royal Guards fighting against them, because I'm like, yo, come on, fam, come on. But they have the excuse that he drank the blood of Bach or something, like, I forget what it was, but so I guess that's supposed to help, but I don't know, it feels weird seeing him going up against these god tier monsters. And then some of the, you know, Bach's Royal Guards, like Askin, he's kind of interesting. He reminds me of, like, well, he has the character design of, he kind of looks a little like Aizen, but he feels like a JoJo's character. He reminds me of like a Joseph Joestar or whatever. He's kind of like a troll in a way. Then you got the dude that looks like Hawkman. Also, what else? He reminds me of something else, man. I can't think of it. But he kind of looks like Hawkman from DC or whatnot. He's alright. I like the strength-wise. Like, he doesn't look like a fraud. He looks like, with everything that's happening, even though he took the L the first time around, he looks like he's still credible, whatnot. And that's another thing that the anime did for, the Royal Guards and Squad Zero and everybody. It boosted everybody up so much. Everybody looks like they're real legit. The fight between Ichibei and Bach, and how Ichibei at every turn is getting more mad, like this little kid, bro. This little kid ain't listening, dog. I just was like, get him, Ichi-san. Get him, Ichi-sama. Let's go. When he's swiping the brush and he's just waxing that ass, and Bach is going and he's cutting his name in half and making him, like, for a moment I was thinking of when Hiruzen fought against Orochimaru and Orochimaru couldn't use his arm for a minute. I was like, God damn, it's reminding me of that. And then he was like, yo, you're not even Yuha Baha no more. You're just Yuha. I cut that in half too, homie. And then he blacked out his thing. Like, it was just like, oh my God. And I gotta stress the art again. The Bleach anime for this core, I gotta say, outdid. Like, I'm kind of already nostalgic for Core 1, because it was like the big return of the Bleach the Bleach anime, and the 1,000-Year Blood War finally after a decade getting animated and whatnot. But I could say, even with some of the slow starts of this season, the Bleach 1,000-Year Blood War Core 2 is definitely the peak of it so far. And it's only gonna be up from here because Kyoraku went to go have a drink. And if you're a manga reader, because I'm not going to spoil for anime onlys, don't worry, no spoilers from me. But if you know where Kyoraku went to get that drink at, you know that next season is going to be crazy. You know that next season is not going to be nothing to play around with, even more so than this season. But I got to stress again, shout outs to Taite Kubo. Because Kubo easily could have been like, yo, bro, I'm sitting back on my millions. I don't care. Do whatever you want. Just give me the check for licensing my stuff, dog. But he's been very much so, and if you follow Forever News, I talked about this as well. Forever News is always a good go-to for if you need any updates on a lot of this stuff. Kubo has been heavily involved. He was heavily involved in episode 24, and he was heavily involved in the finale as well. So a lot of those anime-only scenes, those are from the mangaka. It's not from Studio Pierrot just farting stuff out their ass. That is Taite Kubo getting to work. That is Taite Kubo, the creator of Bleach, saying, no, this is what needs to be in there. This is what was supposed to be in there. And that's why Squad Zero are looking so beautiful out here, baby. Give it up for Squad Zero. Give it up for Squad Zero, baby. Give it up. Give it up for Ichibei. Give it up for Nimaya Owesu, dog. It kind of even felt like Troll meets Troll when he's fighting Askin, and the whole thing with the blood flying out of his neck and him saying, oh, so I just got to go past the threshold of death. Okay. Like, I'm just like, it's crazy. It's crazy, dog. Like, this is an amazing season. Again, there was some complaints I had early on. Like, I like to keep it honest. I know some people don't understand, opinions with different layers to it or whatnot. They think, oh, if you hated one episode of the season, you're supposed to hate everything else, and that's it. Or if you didn't like this, you don't like any, like, go away. I mean, you don't understand layered opinions and in-depth analysis or whatnot. I don't know what to tell you, fam, because that finale was just like, oh, this gives me high hopes. Like, I ain't even gonna lie, Bleach 1,000-Year Blood War makes me say, no, yeah, please. As much as I would love Boruto's anime to return ASAP, leave it alone. Let it sit for a while if we can get this quality for its return. If we could get this type of quality that Bleach is getting for the Boruto anime return, and it could come back seasonally or whatnot, stay away. I'm okay with it. Don't get me wrong, I love having some new Boruto, and, whenever it would go canon, it'd be great, but a seasonal return at the magnitude of what we got at the levels of Ichibei versus Yuha Bach, of the Squad Zero versus the Royal Guards, just everything was just fantastic, man. Just fantastic. I love all the trickery, the plot twists one after another. You think they're down, oh, they're getting back up. You think Squad Zero's down. Nimaya's like, yo, let's get up. Let's show them why we really Squad Zero. And then all of them cutting themselves so that Shorty could use her arms. And it's just like, it's just great, man. It's just great stuff, especially compared to the manga that I believe the manga breezed through a lot of all of the last 2 episodes. I think the manga breezed through that and didn't show a good majority of it. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I'm like 90% sure that it was, they have a battle and then it pretty much goes off screen and then you see the results after the fact. And the anime was like, no. We need to show you guys something. And they delivered. Everything about it just delivered. This season of Bleach was fantastic. I hope Kubo gets back on the manga stuff, I'm gonna be honest with you. I hope Kubo gets back on the No Breaths from Hell. I thought he would have been dropping at least 1 chapter every core. That would have been great promo. Every core, we get a new chapter of the Bleach style, or the Bleach No Breaths from Hell. Like, it would have been perfect. 4 chapters. There, make a movie or something. But what can you do? Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I don't want to extend it for the sake of extending it or whatnot. Crazy. We only got 70 more chapters to adapt. That's the thing that kind of makes me puzzled because there's still 26 episodes, if I'm not mistaken, right? Like 13 and 13. How are they gonna do it? Because they skipped a lot of stuff. You know, they sped through a lot. They skipped a lot. The only explanation is maybe the No Breaths from Hell stuff is going to be adapted in the end of this thing as well. Maybe like a handful of the last season's last episodes is going to be the No Breaths from Hell stuff. Personally, I thought it would have made more sense to adapt the 1,000-Year Blood War and then have a movie for the No Breaths from Hell stuff. Like, you know, to wrap everything up with Bleach. Like, boom, here's a movie based on these chapters. But maybe they might go a different route because I didn't know that they only have 70 chapters. That's crazy. Considering we had, what was it, over 200 chapters to adapt and, you know, 50-something episodes. Was it over 200? I think it was like, yeah. So that means that they've been running through and cutting through a lot, which even further supports my argument of Komamura deserved a little bit better. It just a little bit more time, man. A little bit more time. You know, I would have been fine with cutting out or cutting down on the time that we have with a lot of the zombie stuff. I felt like the zombie stuff lasted a lot longer than it needed to be when a lot of those fights could have, especially that fight, could have lasted a bit longer. That's just my opinion on that. Means more original content. That's true. I just hope that we're not cutting out very important stuff. Again, I haven't been, you know, source checking, like, did they cut this? Did they cut this? But I'm hoping that they're not cutting out things that make things not make sense. But yeah, that also, I guess, does add the fact that, you know, if there's only 70 chapters, and one of the biggest things that fans had a problem was, like, yo, it rushed towards the end so much. If they can now improve on that and fix that, and pad that with really good stuff straight from the creator of what Kubo really wanted to do back in the day before, like, you know, his health really gave out or whatnot, that could mean that the anime is going to be the definitive. In fact, the way it's going, it's looking like the definitive way to experience the Bleach story is via the anime, especially for this final arc. Bar none, this final arc of Bleach, the definitive way so far to experience it is this anime. From the art, the animation, and all of the original scenes that we're getting, and the extended scenes. That's the minus again. I'm sorry. I know I gotta keep on. I'm beating a dead horse, or a dead dog. Komamura. The next few seasons are probably gonna be even more hype because, well, we got 2 more seasons, right? I think it was supposed to be 50 something, so it would be 4 seasons in total. So we got 2 more seasons for the Bleach 1,000-Year Blood War. Gonna be really interesting to see how they play this up. And hopefully that's why as well Kubo hasn't been doing more chapters of, you know, because you think about it, Kubo put a lot of things on pause. Kubo put the Burn the Witch stuff on pause, and he only did 1 chapter of the No Breaths from Hell when he could have done a lot more. So maybe Kubo's going to actually, how can I say this? Kubo's going to act, or he has been actually spending a lot of time adding stuff to the anime. So maybe that's why he's writing a lot of things. He's looking into how can he extend things. And maybe that's why he hasn't been giving us more on the other side of stuff with manga. Could be, could be. Damn, it feels like I'm drowning and I can't catch my balance. Trying to balance good and bad, this and that. Someone help me find the balance. But I know it's all inside my head. If I could master this, I'll be a better me. It's all in me, it's all on me. Hidden deep beneath, if I could find it, you will see it's simply who I need to be. Raise the veil. This is Timothy.